Yo, what's up, everybody? Chris here from Big Sports News, back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a super quick tier list and, of course, a report card. So, without further ado, let's get right into the tier list. I'm going to make it on the fly with you guys. So, looking at the S tier ranking, we of course have Atlanta Faze as our first S tier team. And of course, we have to throw Optic Chicago up there as our other S tier team. I want to make this kind of quick because we all know where these teams kind of fall. I'm going to go in order. So I'm going to put Boston Breach in A tier. I think they're definitely an A tier team. They've been performing really well in stage 2, and I think they'll continue at the stage 2 major. In the case of the Florida Mutineers, I'm actually going to put them in B tier. I think they're pretty solid. They're on the verge of either a massive collapse or a massive breakthrough. So that's why I put them in B tier. Los Angeles Guerillas, I would put in A tier. They went 3-2 in stage 2. And of course, they had their woes, obviously, Gunless getting sick, unfortunately. So kind of have to chalk that to a certain degree. LA Thieves, I put them above the Guerillas in A tier. I think they were just really down on their luck in stage 2, and that's why they performed the way that they did. The London Royal Ravens are our final S tier team, in my opinion. If we're going to do it in order, I'll put Optic above Faze for now, but as it stands, I do think Faze is the better team. I just think they have to work things out. We'll put the Minnesota Rokkr in C tier. I really don't like this team right now. I don't like the current form that they're in. I think that the role change didn't help, but I think that at this point they've reached their ceiling. This is as high as this team will go, in my opinion, barring some, of course, insane turnaround. I just don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem like they have it this year. On a similar note, I am putting the Toronto Ultra in C tier. I can already hear Dan groaning at this. What? But shout out to Dan. Yeah, they're C tier right now as far as things go. They're just not much of a threat to any of the teams in the league, so that's why I put them down there. In the case of New York Subliners, I put them in A tier. They have really turned things around with this Pollux, Hydra, Neptune, and Krim roster, and they went from literally 1-6 map count, I believe, to winning out 3-0, 3-1, and 3-1. So looking really good. Paris Legion, I think they're in the same scenario as the Florida Mutineers. They're either on the verge of a massive breakthrough or a massive breakdown. That remains to be seen. And then the Seattle Surge. I think that there are 3 teams in this position: Mutineers, Legion, and Surge. These teams are all on the verge of either a massive collapse or a massive breakthrough. So I'm going to switch. So yeah, I'm going to switch to my next window where I go through the report card. I'm not going to go in order. I'm just going to go based on where they are in terms of loading in. So looking at our first team, we have the Boston Breach. And looking at their performance in stage 2, I gave them a B+. I thought they were really solid in stage 2. Their teamwork was amazing. Their composure was amazing. Their hardpoint was really strong, apart from the series against London where they lost both of them. Their S&D looked really good, made a lot of decisive play calls. I like how they played together. And they were very dominant in S&D in the stage. Their control was okay. It was so-so. That's one thing that they definitely need to work on, in my opinion, to really go far at this major. So my comments are that the Breach really cemented themselves as the clear-cut 4th best team in the league during their stage 2 campaign. They made considerable improvements across the board as a team, and they can build on this at the major and in the next stage. They're on the verge of becoming a top-tier team. That's just how I feel. They're ready to break out. I think they might get an upset this weekend, but I don't necessarily have it in my bracket. But if some of you guys see it, I could definitely believe it, and I tip it. Looking at my home team, Atlanta Faze, I gave them a B+. I thought that their performance, although they are, in my opinion, still the best team in the game, very lackluster, not typical Faze. I think Abizi's been kind of defanged at this point, and he needs to get back to his normal Abizi ways. Teamwork was still amazing. Composure was still great. Their hardpoint was still pretty good. I give it a B-. Their S&D, I give a B+. And their control, I don't know why I gave it a B+. It's a typo, my bad. I give it a B+. Their control was okay. All their game modes looked pretty solid. It was just, obviously, they had Persini filling in that one series, and then they lost one series to Seattle, so I took some points off for that. My comments are that Faze was in a weird place after they lost to Optic at the major. After losing to Seattle at the beginning of the stage, they were able to quickly get back to normal throughout the rest of the stage, and I think they'll likely reclaim their spot as the top dog during this major or in stage 3. They're right there. And I think that, honestly, they're so close to Optic that it's going to just be a back and forth. Each team's going to take one off the other, but they just need to get more looks. Looking at our next team in this list, we have the LA Guerillas. I really like the Guerillas' performance in Stage 2. Stage 1 was such a disappointment for them that, going 3-2 in Stage 2 and looking as good as they did before Pierce got sick. Just very encouraging for the Guerillas in Stage 3 and throughout the rest of the year. This team, we were expecting a lot from them based on the roster composition of Asim, Hook, Slasher, and of course Gunless, and they're finally starting to gel, and I'm really happy for them. So their teamwork I gave a B plus, their composure I gave a B plus, their hardpoint I gave a B plus, and their S&D I also gave a B plus. I thought that everything looked really good. They looked pretty solid. The control that they had against, I don't remember who it was, but they had a control clutch where they won a defense. Maybe it was London, maybe it was Florida. I don't know, but they won a really, really impressive control defense. I think it was around 5 as well. It was like a 4v9 maybe, and they still won on attack. So it was really impressive. So the Guerillas have made a lot of great improvements during Stage 2. Their team chem, composure, and just their overall play have helped LAG to become the contender that we expected to be from the beginning of the season. When Gunless comes back, they can build on this foundation and continue to roll throughout the rest of the year. Looking at the Thieves, big old F. Their teamwork, D+, not where it needed to be. Composure, D+, not where it needed to be. Hardpoint, B+, looked pretty good. S&D, B+. Control, D. You guys might be saying, well, Chris, they went 3-2 in most of their series. Well, close but no cigar. I mean, if you can't win your series, you're not going to get good placing at the major. They're starting in losers, right? And you can't afford that. Los Angeles Thieves completely fell apart during Stage 2. Their teamwork and composure was not where it needed to be. They just weren't on the same page consistently. And they still look pretty strong in hardpoint S&D. They just need to clean up their control. S&D and hardpoint looked great for LA Thieves, very encouraging, but their control is still horrid, and they really need to make some serious improvements there. Looking at the London Royal Ravens, another B+. My bad. I gave their teamwork, their composure, A+. Their hardpoint was phenomenal. I gave it an A. Their S&D I gave a B+, and their control is a B+. They're one of the most well-rounded teams in this game right now. And my comments on this are, the London Royal Ravens cemented their spot as the third best team in the game during Stage 2 by dominating all the teams below them in the standings and playing Atlanta Faze as tight as they could. They need to become more of a slay-heavy team if they want to make their way into the top 2. I think that just the slaying is the one area where they can't keep up with your optics and your phases and just their overall composure in Game 5s, we'll say. Looking at the Mutineers, I gave them a C. Their teamwork is a C+, in my opinion. It's very mid. Composure, very mid, C+. They threw a lot of stuff away. Hardpoint, D, not good. S&D, D+, not good. Control, D+, not good. The only 2 teams they beat were Shambolic LAG and Shambolic NYSL. Every other team they lost to. Mutineers honestly didn't have many encouraging takeaways to analyze going into the major. The Stage 2 major is a major make or break for the moment for this team. If they don't do well, then the roster change surely needs to come through. And they didn't even come close to competing with the best teams. They only beat teams that were in shambles. So that's all that can be said there. Looking at the Ultra, pretty much more of the same. I gave them a C-. Their teamwork is a B. Their teamwork has always been their strongest skill. Their composure, C-. They didn't have the ice. They haven't had the ice this season, really. Hardpoint, horrible. Got a D. S&D has been saving them. Give them a B where that's concerned. And their control, I give a C. It's pretty mid. The Ultra not the same team that they were last year. Their consistency is not where it was, and they don't seem to have the ice anymore. They drastically need to improve in hardpoint and control. Sorry for scrolling too fast. Looking at our next team, of course, is Seattle Surge, another mid team, in my opinion, this stage. Teamwork, C-, not there. Composure, C-, not there. They just, I don't know where they were mentally, but a lot of their series, they would be in the driver's seat, and then they just throw it away. Hardpoint, C. Their hardpoint has been mid. It hasn't been as good as it was at the beginning of the year. S&D, B. It's been pretty well. It's pretty good, but it could be better. And their control, mid. Surge have fallen off hard since the Kickoff Classic. They need to start adapting their playstyle to account for different matchups and get back on track. Talent alone won't win them series. Talent and gunning doesn't win series. They need to really learn how to match teams' playstyles and counter them more effectively instead of just playing the same teams the same way every time. Looking at the Minnesota Rokkr, a solid D+, our series host. That doesn't bode well for them. Excuse me, our home series host. So their teamwork, I gave a C+. Their teamwork has always been very good, but this season it's not been good. Composure, C+, hasn't been good. Hardpoint, C. Their hardpoint has not been good. It's been very mid. Their S&D has been their strongest suit. B+, I would give it. Very solid S&D team, one of the best. And their control is a D. I was very hard on them because I feel like the Rokkr can be better. We saw them win a major last year, guys. I mean, they can definitely catch fire and win. Sandy, Attach, Priesta, three guys that have been known to be just dominant players. Sandy, of course, in the amateur scene, and then Priesta and Attach, of course, in the pro scene. They've always been two dominant players. Attach is one of the great subs of all time, and Priesta is definitely up there in terms of just flexes that we all think have a lot of talent and have a huge upside. So the Rokkr have a lot of work to do at this point. They need to make a roster change if things don't go well for the Major 2. Sandy and Attach are only players on the team. They're performing well consistently, in my opinion. Major Maniac does a lot to keep them composed, and he does a lot for their play calling. But I just don't know that, his play calling really outweighs the lack of contribution from, let's say, a natural AR like Clayster. Looking at the Paris Legion, our next team, I gave them a C-. They made considerable improvements. Last report card video, I gave them an F. If you want to go check that out, link will be in the description. I gave their teamwork a C, composure a C, hardpoint a C, S&D a C+. S&D was looking pretty good. Their control a D. They're improving a lot, but they started from the bottom. Now they're here. This team's on the verge of being a serious middle of the pack contender, in my opinion. If they clean up their S&D and make improvements in control, then they can definitely be a serious middle of the pack, run for your money kind of team. And their hardpoint's looking very promising, and they can build on that. Now, last but not least, we have our Major 1 winners, our defending champs, going into Major 2. We have Optic Texas. I gave them an A++. They are the clear-cut #1 best team in the game. You guys know I'm not really a huge Optic fan anymore. I still got love for Optic. I have more Optic gear than any other gaming org in my closet, so I always have a warm spot in my heart for them. But this team it's not for me. I'll say this iteration of this team is not really the one that excites me the most. Looking at their contributions to the game, though, teamwork A+, best teamwork in the game, without a doubt. Composure A+, there's no hole that they can't climb out of. Hardpoint A+, best hardpoint team right now. S&D B+, their S&D could definitely use some work. That's their weakest game mode, but they're still very dominant in search. And their control is an A++. I mean, they're 10-1 in control. Like, they've lost 1 control all year. They're insane. So Optic are the clear-cut #1 team in the game. They need to improve on SD a little bit more to become absolutely final and flawless. As it stands, they have no major flaws. They're the complete team. So yeah, guys, that'll just about wrap it up for me. Of course, I'm going to go back to my tier list really quick so you can see how I ranked all the teams after looking at the report cards. So we have Optic and Faze and Ravens in the S tier, Breach, Thieves, Guerillas, and Subliners in the A tier. Subliners just made their way there with the addition of Paul X in place of Clayster. I think that that's going to be the team that really sticks for the rest of the year and really has a lot of success. In the B tier, we of course have our teams that are on the verge of breakout or breakdown, as I like to say. Florida, Paris, and Seattle. And then in the C tier, the teams that I think really are on the chopping block the most, in a surprising sense, right, are two teams that went head-to-head in Major 4. The two teams are on the side of the Minnesota Miracle, right? We have Minnesota and Toronto. So it's kind of ironic that I put them in C tier, and I think that they're both at a very make-or-break point in the season. The other teams above them are also at a make-or-break point in the season, but I just don't see them really imploding in the same sense. I don't see Florida blowing it up as much as Rokkr would or as much as Ultra would. I think Florida definitely do if they don't perform well, but not in the same sense. So yeah, guys, that'll just about wrap it up for me. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. Hope you enjoy Major 2 this weekend. If you're watching after Major 2, what the heck are you doing here? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy all the COD this weekend. If you're not watching during Major 2, then yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe this context is going to be like, oh my God, he made the play. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. And if you haven't seen the bracket video that I did, the one before this, then be sure to go check that out. So yeah, guys, that is it for me. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, and I'm signing off. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.